Friends, let us continue our discussion on heterogeneous gas solid catalytic reactions, and let us recap what we saw in the last session. Namely, we set up the mass balances for a porous catalyst having a slab geometry, and we considered first order irreversible reaction in a isothermal catalyst pellet. As I mentioned, we will eventually relax all these restrictions, namely first order reaction, isothermal pellet and slab geometry, and look at results for different scenarios. So, let us recap. What we have is a catalyst which is porous. This is the center line of the catalyst. So, there is a equivalent catalyst on the right hand side. So, this is our Z equal to 0, this is our Z equal to L, the gaseous reactant is outside in the bulk. We are right now not considering any external mass transfer resistances. So, the concentration at the surface is CAB, and as the reactant travels inside the catalyst, there is a diffusion and there is a reaction. The net result of writing a mass balance for this situation is we get a unsteady state mass balance which looks something like this. Term on the left hand side denoting the accumulation, the first term on the right hand side denoting the diffusion phenomena, the second term the reaction. So, this is an unsteady state diffusion reaction equation, which we simplified saying that at steady state, that means this term goes to 0 and we have this equal to 0. We also made further simplification saying that we are going to assume or make equations dimensionless. So, we define dimensionless concentration as Ca by Cab, we define dimensionless length Z star as Z by L, and wrote the mass balance equation as d square u d Z star square equal to phi square into u. This phi square, assuming first order reaction. So, this works out to be the ratio of L square Kv and dAe, which we also interpreted as the ratio of time scale for diffusion to time scale for reaction. The boundary conditions for this particular equation is at Z equal to 0, dCA or du dz star equal to 0, and at Z equal to 1 u equal to 1. So, now let us look at how does this solution of this equation, this is a second order ordinary differential equation, it is a linear equation. So, you can use analytical methods to solve this equation, and you get a solution which looks something like this. What we are looking here is our Z star being 0 here and 1 over here on the other side, and this is our concentration u, which is Ca by Cab, again once again between 0 and 1. Because of boundary condition that at Z equal to 1, u is equal to 1, all solutions start from this point, but what we are seeing in this particular figure is the solution of this equation. Let me write the equation once again: d square dz square d square u dz square equal to phi square u with the appropriate boundary condition. So, only parameter what we have is the Thiele modulus phi square, and so if we change the value of this modulus phi, which is L square root kV by dAe. Then for different values of phi, for example, this is a solution for phi equal to 0.5, this is a solution for phi equal to 1, this one for 2, this one for 5, this is for phi equal to 10. So, let us examine these solutions. As I said, all these solutions start at u equal to 1 and at center point du dz star is equal to 0 for all of them, because that is our boundary condition. So, our solution has to satisfy this particular equation. Now, let us look at what happens when phi equal to 0. Remember, we defined phi square as time scale for diffusion to time scale for reaction. Okay. So, when phi is a small value, we will call these values 0.5, 1, 2, 5, 10 relative to each other. So, when phi is 0.5, which is relatively low, we see that concentration of reactant is more or less uniform and it is close to unity. That means, everywhere inside this catalyst pellet there is a reactant and its concentration is same as the bulk concentration. Why is this happening? This is happening because at low value of phi, the diffusion time scales are much smaller compared to reaction. That means, diffusion is a fast process. So, the concentrations are close to unity. Whatever drop that you see is because some of that reactant is getting converted also to product. So, you expect some decrease, but it is more or less flat compared to if you look at the solutions with higher and higher value of, look at the solution for phi equal to 2 for example. There is a quite a steep gradient from outside surface to the inside of the catalyst pellet. With inside at the center point, concentration is only 30% that of outside. Of course, reaction is responsible for it partly, but also at higher value of phi, diffusion is a slow process. So, the gradient is much steeper. This can be further looked at when you look at the solution for phi Thiele modulus equal to 5, Thiele modulus equal to 10. In fact, when Thiele modulus is 10, the reactant is pretty much consumed in upper 40% of the region. That means, at value of phi, the concentration drops down almost to 0 value in upper 40% of the region. The remaining 60% is there is no reactant. So, there is obviously no reaction. Now, so to summarize, when we look at a plot like this, we see that diffusion creates gradients. Slower the diffusion rates, higher is the gradient. Now, when the reaction rates are fast, that is a reaction rate is faster than the diffusion, we see lot of gradient, but if diffusion is fast, the reaction concentrations are pretty much high. Okay. Now, that raises a question that why should we then use porous catalyst, because the reaction would have been at its peak had the concentration be the bulk concentration. So, let's look at this situation once again. If you remember now, our rate of reaction is kV into Ca. So, since Ca is changing along the axial direction, the rate of reaction is also changing, and the rate of reaction is at its maximum when Ca equal to Cab. So, Ra max is kV into Cab, but as we go inside the catalyst, concentration is less than CAB. That is the diffusion effect. In fact, more so if the diffusion is slower. If that is the case, then why have this catalyst in a porous form? Why not have a solid block? The reason for that is, going back to our reaction, remember this is per, that is moles per volume of the catalyst, let us say per second, that is our reaction rate, which essentially is, this is our intrinsic rate Ks, which is moles per unit area, multiplied by rho of the catalyst pellet into the surface area. So, Kv is nothing but this particular constant. This is concentration, this is Ks into Ca is moles per centimeter square or meter square per second, multiplied by Hg, meter square per gram of the catalyst, multiplied by rho p, which is gram per volume of the catalyst, and that is how we get Kv. So, even though Ca is low when the catalyst is porous, Kv value is fairly high, because porous catalyst gives us as high as 100 meter square per gram of catalyst. So, whatever loss in reaction rate that occurs because concentration is low is more than made up by surface area, which is high. This is my catalyst pellet. If I were to do the same reaction only on the surface, everything else being same, Ca may be Cab, but Hg will be of the order 10 raised to minus 3 meter square per gram. Compare this 10 raised to minus 3 when the reaction occurs only on the surface, that is catalyst is non-porous, vis-a-vis when it is porous and reaction can occur inside. And that is the reason why we have porous catalyst, not solid block of catalyst. Now, since rate of reaction is changing along the axial direction, the overall rate that you will get will be the average of this value. So, what will that rate be is one thing that we would like to calculate, but also we would like to calculate how diffusion has increased or decreased the rate of reaction. For this particular kinetics, since concentrations are low and low concentrations means low reaction rate, the overall rate would be lower compared to if diffusional resistances were not there. So, let us try to bring in another concept to explore this idea further. So, let us go back to our mass balance equations and say that our mass balance equation in the dimensionless form was Kv into Ca, or let us just put it as rate as a function of Ca. So, now because in my catalyst Ca is lower than the bulk concentration Cab, my rate of Ca is going to be less than the rate that I would get if concentrations were Cab everywhere. The question is how much lower, and to characterize this, let us bring in the concept of effectiveness factor, a new concept which says that there are two rates that I can have. One is the actual observed rate that I will get because catalyst is poor, but then I also have rate if mass transfer was not limiting. That means rate if the concentrations was CAB. So, we will put this in the more formal form as saying that R observed divided by R of CAB, that is the observed rate divided by the rate if concentrations were CAB, and the ratio of this we call it as effectiveness factor eta. So, this is my concept of effectiveness factor. Effectiveness factor eta. Now, how do I calculate this effectiveness factor? Now, what is my observed rate? Since my rate is changing all along the catalyst pellet, my observed rate is average. So, mathematically it is integral of R of Ca into along the volume or the volume of the pellet average value. So, 1 over volume of the pellet. So, this is my R observed. Now, how do I calculate this R observed? Okay. So, to calculate my R observed, for this slab geometry I can also write this as taking the volume of the pellet, that if this length is L and the cross sectional area that you see is A, then this is nothing but 1 over A integral R dCA dz. That is I multiply and divide by area, I get volume converted into the actual location, assuming the uniform cross sectional area. Now, let me once again write our mass balance equation. It is d square A dz square dAe equal to kV into Ca. Okay. So, or equal to R of Ca as we wrote earlier. Okay. Now, using the fact that if I take a integral one time, this will become dAe dCA dz. If I integrate this equation once at any z minus dAe dCA dz at z equal to 0, integrating this as integral R of Ca dz. And what do we know about this at z equal to 0? I am just putting it between two boundaries 0 and z, or let us make it 0 and L, that is the entire catalyst pellet, then this will be between 0 and L. Now, what do we know about this value? This is 0, or in other words, this R observed is nothing but dAe dCA dz at L, 1 over L will be 1 over L integral 0 to L R of dCA dz or R observed. Okay. So, what does it say about R observed? If you look at this equation, see there is a diffusion, the flux at this point is dCA dZ dAE at Z equal to L. That is my flux. So, what this equation tells us is that if you position, let us say, yourself outside the, or if the reactant is in the bulk, the way things are looked at from the bulk, the average rate, that is this observed rate, is actually the rate at which the material is diffusing at this surface Z equal to L, and of course normalized by 1 over L. And that makes sense, because as far as this bulk is concerned, there is no reaction in the bulk. All it sees is that reactant is diffusing inside. So, the flux at which the reactant is diffusing, given by this left hand side, this one over here, must be same as the rate at which material is reacting on an average, because there is no accumulation, we are looking at steady state balance. So, now if we put all these things together, namely our definition of eta. So, let us write down our eta, which is R observed by R CAB is nothing but from this particular expression is nothing but 1 over L into dAE by Km into CAB or KV into CAB integral, rather instead of integral we are now writing it in terms of differential. So, that will be dCA dZ star dZ at Z equal to L. And if you now make this equation dimensionless by using the same quantities, we end up with 1 over phi square du dZ star at Z star equal to 1. So, from going from this equation to this equation, all I have done is instead of Ca, I have put u as Ca by Cab and Z star as Z by L. Now, it turns out that for linear system you can actually solve this equation analytically and you get a solution tan phi by phi. That is my effectiveness factor. Let us look at this equation more carefully and look at what is the, how does this effectiveness factor then depends on phi. So, to recap, what we have done is we have created a rating system for the observed rate by rating it with the rate of reaction if diffusion was not there, and we call this rating factor as effectiveness factor. It turns out that for first order system in a slab geometry, this effectiveness factor is given by tan phi by phi, where phi is a Thiele modulus L square dAE by L square kV by dAE. So, how does this solution look like? So, let us look at those solutions, and what we see here is a effectiveness factor on x axis. So, this is my Thiele modulus on x axis and effectiveness factor on y axis. What we see here, this value is 0.1, 1, 10, 100 and so on. This is the solution of effectiveness factor being tan phi by phi. That is my solution that we see over here. Now, we clearly see three different regimes. Regime 1, that is roughly about 0.3 up to 0.3, this particular regime. For phi less than 0.3, effectiveness factor is almost unity. Okay. For phi greater than 3, another regime 1, 2, 3 over here in this regime. So, this is this particular regime. This particular regime, let me see if I can change the color. So, this particular regime, that is phi greater than 3, phi greater than 3, what do we see? Remember, this is ln plot. Okay. So, this is log plot, and what we see is eta is almost same as 1 over phi. Okay. This is all mathematical, and in between region is the transition region, that is 0.3 less than phi less than 3. This is all numerical values, but what does it physically mean? Remember, Thiele modulus is time of diffusion to time of reaction. So, phi value low, that is this particular case, implies that reaction rates are much higher than the diffusional time scales. Time scales of reaction is much higher than diffusional time scales. That means, reaction is actually slower compared to diffusion, and if that is the case, then we saw in the earlier figure that concentration is flat more or less, that is we are looking at concentration being close to unity, and therefore, it is not surprising to see that the effectiveness factor is close to unity in this particular region. What does it mean? That means, throughout the entire catalyst, since concentration is close to the bulk value, throughout this entire region, the reaction rate is more or less same, that is the observed rate is same as the rate if reaction was to occur under bulk conditions, and therefore, the rating parameter is 1. But if phi value is large, let us say 5, 10, we see that there is very low concentration of reactant, particularly in this particular region, which means that the observed rate, that is the region that is contributing to reaction, is only this region if phi value is large, and here the concentrations are low. That means, the average rate compared to that we obtained in the bulk now must be fairly low, and in fact, that is what we see over here. And furthermore, when phi value increases, it exceeds 3, tan phi goes to unity, and therefore, eta becomes almost same as 1 over Thiele modulus phi, and that is what we see in this particular region. So, this region is diffusion controlled when Thiele modulus is large. This region is reaction controlled when Thiele modulus is very small, and then we have a transition from Thiele modulus being between 0.3 and 3, where it is controlled neither exclusively by reaction or by diffusion, but it is a region of mixed control, and hence we call it as transition period. Now, we said that, let me recap what we have looked at so far. We considered reaction diffusion in porous catalyst. porous catalyst. Particularly the catalyst was with a slab geometry. We considered first order reaction, we considered isothermal, very nice ideal conditions for which you get even analytical solutions. Now, one of the things that we did, then what we saw is concentration as a function of distance in the catalyst pellet, but in terms of overall effect, R observed by R at CAB is tan phi by phi, Thiele modulus phi, where phi is L square root of kV by dAe. There are a few implications of this result before we go on to general results which will follow. First, let us look at this eta equal to tan phi by phi. So, what does this eta depend upon? And mind you, I am talking about only results only for these conditions mentioned over here at the moment, but they have far wider implications as we will see little later on. So, what do we get here? Effectiveness factor eta depends on what? It depends on the catalyst length. So, it depends on effectiveness factor is a function of L, dAe and kV. These two, L and dAe, are characteristic of the catalyst. Kv is a reaction catalyst, a reaction characteristic. This of course is also characteristic of reaction, but it is more diffusion characterization, and Kv is a indication of the reaction rate or kinetics characteristic of the catalyst. So, what it implies, nowhere in this equation, for example, CAB occurs. It implies for this particular condition, slab geometry first order isothermal, that the effectiveness factor does not depend on the bulk condition. So, whatever may be the concentration in the bulk, that is, if I have my bulk concentration CAB of some arbitrary unit 1, 2, 10, if the catalyst is same, that means L is same, dA is same and the reaction is same, the effectiveness factor is same. It does not depend upon CAB. That is observation number 1. The observation number 2 comes from this particular relationship. It says that R observed is eta into R CAB, same equation. Now, imagine you are doing a reaction with a porous catalyst. There is no way, or it is very difficult, I should not say no way, because you never know what will happen in few years down the line, but by and large there is no way that you can go inside the catalyst and measure the concentration of the reactant. All you can measure is the bulk concentration, but at the same time you would like to know what is the overall reaction or observed reaction rate, that is the average of whatever is happening inside the catalyst pellet. Now, if you look back, that is R observed is eta into R CAB. This tells us that to know R observed, I know my bulk concentration and kinetics, I need to know my eta. And this information eta is tan phi by phi tells us that eta does not depend upon CAB or for that matter CA, but it depends on the characteristic of the catalyst. So, if I know what my catalyst is, I will know my observed rate of reaction by using this equation without knowing what is the concentration inside the catalyst pellet, that is how is concentration Ca changing with Z. And in my opinion, this is the most important result which is often used in design of catalytic reactor. In design of catalytic reactor, our dilemma is that we do not know what is there inside the catalyst, yet we want to find out the observed rate. So, this relationship R observed is equal to eta into R of CAB tells us how to calculate observed rate without knowing what is there inside the catalyst pellet. The only information I need to know is what is this effectiveness factor. Now, for first order reaction, this effectiveness factor even does not depend upon the bulk condition, it depends only on the characteristic length of the catalyst, the diffusivity, the kinetic rate constant and so on. Thus, for a first order system, I know the complete information of the observed rate if I know the characteristic of the catalyst. I do not have to know what are the reactant concentration inside the catalyst. And this is one of the most important implication of this rating behavior. Why do I say it is most important? Because being engineers, we always try to approximate. So, if I know that this is the exact result under certain limiting condition, can I approximate my real situation to this limiting condition, or how good or how far I am away from this condition will tell me whether I could use the same approach or not. And let us try to look at such behavior by first relaxing our slab geometry concept, and let us say that we have cylindrical geometry or spherical geometry. So, my catalyst is now spherical like this. This is my R equal to 0, this is my R equal to L, this is my bulk. So, my concentration will now change from the surface to the center in this particular manner. Earlier we considered slab, now we slab geometry to sphere. So, I am relaxing my constraint on sphere. Now, if you do again the mass balance, we will get a mass balance kV into Ca, and then again this equation can also be analytically solved fortunately, and you can get effectiveness factor. That is, in this case, for example, if you define the dimensionless constant h as radius square root of kV by dAe, we get effectiveness factor in this particular case cot h minus 1 by h, and if we now look at the solution of this particular scenario, so what we are seeing here is solution for phi equal to L square root of kV by dAe, or h equal to R by 3. This was for my slab geometry, this is for my let us say R square root of kV by dAe. So, that is my h. So, this is phi or h versus effectiveness factor. This result is for slab, this result is for sphere, and this result is for a cylindrical geometry. So, whether my catalyst is a slab or a sphere or a cylinder like this, remember various different shapes of catalyst, I get a result which qualitatively is very similar. That is, for some low value effect of this phi or h, it is unity, eta is 1, and here eta is 1 over phi, for example, for slab, or 3 by h for sphere. So, now this is nice, because I can use the same argument which we just few minutes back talked about for a slab geometry, equally applicable to the spherical geometry, but we can go a step further. For example, if we define our Thiele modulus phi as volume of the pellet to the surface area of the pellet, and we are talking about only the external volume and surface area now, divided by root kV by dAe, and plot this result phi as defined over here versus effectiveness factor. Remember this, for sphere what will it be? It will be 4 by 3 pi r cube divided by pi r square. So, this will be r by 3 square root kV by dAe. Okay. So, if we do that, then we see that these different results for slab, cylinder and sphere, they all collapse almost into a unique line. You see here, this is for cylinder, this middle one is the last one is for sphere, the middle one is for, you can't even probably see, I can see it because I am sitting close to it, and this one is for this is for slab geometry, this is for sphere and for cylinder. And what are these dots that you see? Those dots are calculations done by Amundsen and Luss way back in late 60s for any irregular shape. So, catalyst may be of this shape, a 3D shape. So, you define Thiele modulus as volume of this catalyst pellet divided by the surface area, the outside surface area, square root kV by dAe. We get dots also falling onto almost same line with a characteristic behavior eta equal to 1 for Thiele modulus somewhere less than 0.3, eta equal to 1 over Thiele modulus for phi greater than 3 in this region. Or in other words, we almost have some kind of a unique relationship between eta and phi, even though geometries are different, even though we have slab or sphere or cylinder or any irregular shape, then we see that the behavior in terms of eta and phi is same. If that is the case, then for first order reaction, to know observed rate, if I can approximate this behavior by a single line, I know my observed rate without knowing what is happening inside the catalyst pellet. This is as far as the first order reaction is concerned for any geometry. So, henceforth we will see our results mainly for slab geometry, because we know the similar things will come out for sphere, cylinder or irregular shape, and then relax what happens when we have a first order kinetics. Instead of first order kinetics, we have nth order kinetics. or in other words, let us look at these results. This is a result for effectiveness factor eta versus Thiele modulus. We will talk about what this definition of Thiele modulus is in the next session, but before we conclude this session, let us look at this behavior. What we are seeing here is the result for power law kinetics R equal to kV raised to kV into Ca raised to n. So, n is for example half or 1 or 2 or 3 in this particular case, and we once again see amazing results, namely eta equal to 1 when phi is less than 0.3, eta equal to 1 over phi when phi is greater than 3, and intermediate regions where results are slightly different depending on the value of n. But the two extremes of reaction control and diffusion control, for any power law kinetics, the effectiveness factor relationship with Thiele modulus is unique, and this is a remarkable result, because what it means is that if I know the equation of this line, at least for limiting cases, I know R observed eta as R of CAB, but for general kinetics I will not say that eta is independent of bulk conditions or eta which depends on Thiele modulus, and Thiele modulus actually depends on the bulk conditions. How do we get that result will be the topic of discussion in the next session, followed by relaxing the constraint that the reaction is isothermal. So, we will consider non-isothermal reaction behavior, which we will do in the next session. Thank you.